Hey y'all, it's Cass. Welcome back to my channel if you're OG. Welcome to my channel if you're new. I talk all about building a better you inside and out through content creation, branding, and lifestyle. And today's video is all about content creation and branding because today I'm going to show you guys how to design a logo from scratch for beginners. Let's get it. So I really wanted to make this video, you guys, because personally I do graphic design for clients, and a lot of times I really emphasize, trying to do stuff yourself and start your business off with the lowest start off costs. And I feel like the first thing everyone goes for when they want to start a business is their logo. So the purpose of this video is just kind of to show anyone who does want to attempt to design their own logo how to do so. In this tutorial, I am going to be using Adobe Photoshop in order to design my logo. If you want to see me design a logo via my phone, you can check out my previous logo design video where I did dive into designing a logo on your phone as well with the free app Fonto. But today is going to mainly be focused on going in detail with designing on Photoshop. So the first important thing, you guys, before you even go in and start designing your logo is to actually seek the inspiration for what you want your logo to look like. So some ways that you can do this is to go ahead and have the colors in mind that you want your logo to incorporate, have other logos, designs that you really like off to the side just to kind of use them as reference. You can take the colors from them, the font, see what you like about them. You can also look at different images. Maybe there's an image that inspires your brand. If you guys have like a style guide or a mood board on Pinterest, then you can use that for your inspiration as well. I do have a video out about how to establish the look of your brand, so you can check out that video if you want to see kind of how to establish the brand color palette and the look that your brand is going to have across all platforms. All right, so once you guys have all the inspiration for your logo collected, it is now time to open Photoshop. So I'm gonna go ahead, open Photoshop on my computer and start a screen recording. Today I'm trying out my mom's cinema display screen, so let's see. So you guys, when you open Photoshop, you're gonna see a screen similar to this one. Yours is probably gonna be empty. I have all these in here because I've already been designing things. So once you design things and have multiple dimensions, you'll have multiple dimension options. Personally, I am going to design in 3000 by 3000. Since the width and the height are the same, that means it's going to appear as a square. And I like to make sure my resolution is at about 300. I typically design in these dimensions just because I like to keep everything in a square. It's really going to be HD dimensions and everything. I'm going to call this logo tutorial. And then I'm going to go ahead and just keep my background black, everything else looks good, and then I'm going to create. So basically what we just did was create a 3000 by 3000 pixel square inside of Photoshop. This is very important to note because in Photoshop everything's going to look about the same size, but when you actually print it or display it anywhere, then that's when it's going to be important to know those dimensions and everything, because it's going to look a bit different. All right, so this is kind of just my Photoshop setup, but what I want you guys to make sure you have open in Photoshop is going to be your layers panel. That's going to be very important. So if I turn off my layers, turn it back on, you'll see my layers panel right here. That's one of the most important things in Photoshop. Another thing I like to have is characters. So right here, this is going to be a way you can manipulate text once we get text in there. And then another one that I like to have open is my tools right down here. So that's going to be these little icons right here, your toolbars. So just make sure you have layers, tools, and characters open for this. So in Photoshop, you guys, to do anything, you have to be within that tool. So the first thing you may want to do when you're creating a logo is add text. So you're going to look for your text tool. You can hover over the tool if you're trying to see what the different tools do, or if you're looking for any tools, and you can click this little ... and it'll show you any missing tools. But for text, it's easy to remember. It's the T tool. So it's going to give you this little cursor. All you do is a single click and you can now type. Okay, I'm looking at the Queen and Slim poster. So let's call this brand Queen and Slim. All right, so you can't see it. That's because I'm typing black on black text. So I can see that right here at this top toolbar that appeared when I pressed the text icon. And I can also see that in my characters panel. So what I'm gonna do is highlight that, and I'm gonna go ahead and change that color. So let's move the color picker here. I'm gonna change that to white just so I can see for now. And I see I spelled Queen wrong. Great. So let's go ahead and just expand this a little bit. So right here, I'm switching from you can take the text tool, click and drag over this little icon here to expand that text size. Another option, you can actually go to your move tool. So that's going to be the cross with arrows on each end, and then you can move it from there and you can expand it from there as well. All right, nice. So if you're very simplistic like me, this could be your logo and you could be done and all set. But I'm just going to show you guys some different features. So first I want to show you guys the font color, and then I just showed you guys how to change the size. So right here, if you go into fonts, you have a plethora of fonts that are available to you. A lot of these fonts I actually went and downloaded online. So you can download fonts online. You can just go to, there's many free fonts online. You can just download whatever font that you would like, and then you would just add it to your font book. If you're using Apple, you just look for the font book app, press the add icon, bring over the font that you want that you just downloaded, and it should be available now on whatever application that you open. I'm gonna go back to my text tool, make sure I have my text highlighted so that I can go through, hover through different fonts. So we kind of have this cool little dot font right here that I downloaded. I downloaded this one. I think I'm gonna do a mixture of fonts, so I'm gonna keep this font right here, Ballpark for Queen, and then Slim. I think I'm gonna go ahead and take the, where was that font from before? Right here, Futura Dot. And then I'm also actually going to remove this, so I'm just gonna cut it, and I'm going to start a new text again. So my text tool, once I get this icon, hover over, click, and I'm going to paste my Slim into there. Cool. So this is where layers comes in handy, you guys. So as we add different things, you see they appear on our layers. We started with this background layer. Now we have the Queen and, so I'm actually going to click on that layer and put a space between the and then we have the Slim layer. So if I click this little eyeball, I can hide things, I can make them reappear. So that's kind of one of the roles that layers is going to play for us. So I'm going to actually expand this, expand my Slim for now. And so now we've done a font change. Another thing I'm going to do actually is the same thing I did with Slim. I'm going to cut this and I'm actually going to put it as a separate text as well. So I'm going to go back to my text tool and just paste that and into there. And then I'm going to make it a lot bigger. I kind of want it to be on the outskirts. So once you kind of have all your elements, and I do suggest if you're using more than one word to have them all on separate text elements, then you can just kind of drag to align them wherever you want. So I'm going to make this Slim a bit bigger. Like that. Let's take the Queen. And then the ampersand. Maybe I want it to be smaller. Like that. Cool. Looks good to me. So with that, I'm just using the move tool and the text tool, you guys. And then I'm going to actually select all these layers. So I'm going to select Queen in the layers panel. I'm going to hold down shift to select all the way to Slim, and that'll select everything for me so I can kind of move it all together. And then I'm just going to click off to the side, to the empty space in layers to deselect that. All right, so we kind of have the basis in here. We've changed the font and we have changed the alignment as well as the size. So now I kind of want to just change the color. So of course, again, I can go back into that color picker as before and change that color. Just make sure it's selected so it knows that you're changing that color. Try out different colors. If you guys do have an image, you can bring it into Photoshop and you can just kind of drag and hover, and this little eyedropper tool, whatever you click, it will change that image to that color. So that's just how you can change basic colors. So you guys, if you want to keep it simple, like I mentioned before, those are just three main things you can change: your sizing, alignment, font, and then if you want to, you can change the color as well. But if you guys do want to add a little bit more just complex effects to it, then I'm going to show you how to do that now. So some things I like to play with, and let's go ahead and go into our Slim file. Always make sure you have the layer clicked that you want to manipulate. That's going to be very important. If you notice you're trying to do something in Photoshop and it's not working, go into that layers panel and make sure that it's actually selected. And then right here at the bottom, you see this little effects button. That is going to be your best friend. You'll have all these different effects. You don't have to worry about them all in this moment. Just worry about whatever one you're looking for. For this example, I'm going to go ahead and click bevel and emboss, and then that's going to open up this layer style window for me. Cool thing about Photoshop is as you manipulate things, it actually does show you in the window, this preview window right here, what you are manipulating. So as you see, as soon as I clicked bevel and emboss, it kind of changed the texture of that word already. So bevel and emboss is kind of cool. It gives it kind of this 3D texture, almost as if it's popping out of the layer, the layout that it's on. So right now it's on pillow emboss. So there's a whole bunch of different features, you guys. For me, I just really had to play around with this to see what kind of emboss and bevel and stuff that I liked. But you can really play around with these features, decide what you want. You can play around with the depth, so how sunken into the background is this going to be. Whatever you're trying to do, you can change the contour. So if you guys do makeup, if you're familiar with makeup and all that kind of stuff, it kind of has the same idea. So how the shadows and everything are coming in. And then right here will also give you a little example if you need a bit more clarity on what is happening. And then here you can choose what color your highlights are, and then what color your shadows are going to be. So I can make darker shadows, lighter shadows, whatever I want to do. So that's bevel and emboss, and I kind of like to play with it to add more texture to words. Another thing we have down here is stroke. So as I mentioned, you don't have to go back into the effects panel. You see all the effects right here on this side menu. Stroke actually is kind of cool. So stroke is going to be the outline of the word. So right now I have my stroke on a kind of small size. You can say if you want your stroke to come from inside the word, outside the word. Again, there's so many tools you guys can play around with. Right now, my fill type for my stroke is gradient, which means it's giving it this kind of blue to brownish tone. I can just make it a single color. If I don't want it to be a gradient, let's make it like red, for example, just so you guys can see it. I can also make it a pattern. We're going to go more into patterns later, but like right here, I have a fire texture, so I can outline that with a fire. For the purposes of this, I'm actually just not going to do a stroke, so I'm just going to click that little check to remove the stroke. Some other things, you guys, if you ever want to add a gradient over your text, so like I have this really cool pink gradient going on, then I can click on gradient overlay. Color overlay will add a color, pattern overlay will add a pattern on top. I actually kind of like the pattern overlay, so let's go into that window and play around with that. All right, you guys, so I'm in pattern overlay now. You do have some patterns that come with Photoshop. So we have like this grass and trees and stuff that came with Photoshop. Me personally, I get patterns online. So if you guys want to, I can select, I'll drop below a tutorial on how to download patterns. But once you download a pattern from online, like I downloaded this gold texture, then it's now added into your library. So I think I'm going to go with the gold. This is giving me Queen and Slim vibes. I have like a glittery gold. So I'm going to select that pattern, and now it's inside of the words, which looks really cool with the bevel and emboss because it gives it more texture. So I can also actually go on and add a gradient overlay and bring down the opacity on it a little bit if I wanted it to kind of be a rose gold. To manipulate gradient, you guys will always just double click on the color that appears, and then there's some preset gradients in here, so you can start with the preset and then select this little box right here and just kind of manipulate it to whatever color you want it to be. And then from there you can just kind of drag the blend however you want that done. And then if you want to keep that color, you can just say new, and it'll add that color to your gradient library. Click OK. I think in this instance, I'm not going to add a gradient, but that's how you guys can do that. So once you've kind of manipulated the style to look how you want, click OK there, and you're good to go. So now I'm going to play around with Queen and. If you guys need to rearrange something, so I want the queen on top of the slim, then I'm just going to drag the queen on top right there within my layers panel. Let's manipulate this ampersand. Coolio. I'm going to move the and on top as well. And then I'm gonna once again hold shift to select queen and my and I'm just gonna use my arrow key to slowly move it down. I kind of want it to touch the word a bit more. Cool. I'm gonna go back to slim, and I'm actually gonna go back and manipulate my effects. Again, you can hide your effects if you would like, right there inside of your layers panel. If you double click on the word effects, it'll take you back into that menu, so that's an easy way to get there. And I'm gonna add some outer glow, just because I want it to glow. And I think I'm gonna make my glow more gold, so I'm gonna steal the gold color that's already in the word to make it glow. So here's the spread. Again, you can look at this little icon here to see what exactly is happening. Click OK. Good to go. So you guys, we kind of have really manipulated this logo, made it into our own. It looks a lot different from where we were previously. Yeah, looks pretty cool. All right, what else we got? All right, you guys, so I think we have a pretty nice logo down here. I think you guys have plenty of features that you can now play along with to customize your own logo. So I think the big important things that we learned in here were how to utilize our text tool to place text, utilize our move tool to realign that text, change our font, our color, our text size. We used the menu, we used our layers panel in order to manipulate layers, drag layers around, and just to make sure that, and just to see all the elements that we had added to our logo. So now that we have our logo complete, it's time to export it. We want to make sure we export a logo that that is transparent, just so you can put it on any file that you would like. So in order to do that, all you have to do is hide your background, just like that. So we have our background layer, hide it, and now this is on a transparent background. You can go ahead, file, export. I'm just going to do a quick export as a PNG image, and then let's name that logo tutorial. Sounds good to me. Add that to my desktop real quick, and then save. So now if I open, let's see if I have a flyer I can put this on right here. So now I'm going to go into my desktop where I have saved my logo, and I'm going to take this logo right here and I'm just going to drag it onto my image, and bam. Now it's transparent and I can add it over any image I would like. Now another cool thing, since your logo is now saved, you can go again into your effects panel and manipulate that once again. So I can say, let's say I just want it to be black. I can go put in my color overlay, just have a black logo, and it will just make that logo that I designed black for me. So just depends. And then if I want to take that away, just hide my effects, and we're back to the original logo. So you guys can use this for your website, whatever you're doing. You now have a transparent logo. Make sure to keep this original file in case you ever have to manipulate anything. So for example, if I wanted to make a logo that was just the Q and the S right here, just as like a short logo, what I would do is once again hold shift to select everything, and I would put it in this little folder. It's best to keep organized inside of Photoshop. So once I click that folder, it puts everything in this group here. I can double click to rename it. So let's say full logo, so I know that's the full logo. And then I'm going to right click on that group and just duplicate it. So if you have anything you already like inside of Photoshop, you just click right click, select duplicate. Okay, you can name it. So let's say short logo, because this is going to be the shortened logo. Okay, and then I have that short logo option, so I can hide my full logo for now. I don't lose anything, and now I can manipulate this short logo. So I'm going to say go to Q, go to text tool, so I can manipulate the text, take that out. Go to slim, again back in my text tool, so I can manipulate the text, take that out. Let me add my background back in there so you guys can see what I'm doing a bit better. And then I'm just going to take my Q, drag it right here. Let's use my move tool right here to make sure it's a little bit more the size of the text. Let's just do QS, I don't want the and. Great. And then once again I'm going to hold down, just take this away. So I'm just pressing the delete button if I'm deleting any layers, and then I'm going to hold down shift so I can select the Q and the S inside of layers, make them a bit bigger, and bam, I have my shortened logo. So if I wanted to save that again, I would just click that background button I can always hide that and reappear my original logo, and bam. So you guys, that is the basics to designing a logo inside of Photoshop. I just gave you guys a ton of features you can manipulate and play around with. Right now for clients, this is a lot of the features that I mainly use when I'm designing for other clients, you guys. So have fun, go out, download fonts, download patterns. I'll drop some tutorials below on how to download fonts and patterns. I will also have tutorials, more tutorials coming, a bit more advanced tutorials, more features that you can add to your logo design and just DIY branding. If you haven't already, check out my designing a website from scratch for beginners if you guys are getting started in your business, as well as starting your own business, things that you need to know. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it helped you out. Please give my video a thumbs up to support my channel. Comment below if you have any questions, suggestions, concerns, anything, and make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications to be notified whenever I post every Wednesday and Saturday. And I'm out. Peace.